The Hawks lose 4-3 to the Jets in overtime, but 40 minutes of the game was pretty good. The other 20, not so good. We'll talk to you next on CHGO Blackhawks. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks postgame podcast presented by Bet365, where winning is everything. Download the Bet365 app. Use our code CHGO365 when you sign up. Thanks for being with us. I'm Jay Zawaski. That's Greg Boysen. Chloe Thiel is here running the show for us today. We appreciate you being here after the 4-3 loss in overtime to the Jets. Please do us a favor. Hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you're listening on the podcast later, follow on your favorite app and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Those go a long way. So set it in the cold open, 40 solid minutes, 21 bad minutes, and those 21 minutes cost you the game. That's it. That's the story of it. They've got more firepower. They've got, I think it's safe to say, a better goalie, Connor Hellebuyck, than Spencer Knight. Not massively so, but... And that was the difference. You cannot sleepwalk for 20 minutes and expect to win in this league.
Yeah, I think. That second period, I'm not sure how much of that is just the Blackhawks completely like sleepwalking, and how much of that was the Jets waking up after they completely sleptwalked through a first period. They came out with some urgency. They came out with a little desperation because, believe it or not, the Winnipeg Jets. 1 point out of a
That's crazy
playoff spot because nobody in the Western Conference wants to win in March. So, the Jets had 10 shots on goal, 3 goals before the Blackhawks had their first shot on goal in the second period.
Yeah, and look, you might be right. Maybe the Jets turned it on, but I tweeted this out. They scored 106 into the second period. I spent the first 105 of this period saying, what are the Hawks doing right now? They're completely playing in slow motion. They're completely disinterested on this opening shift. Like, what is going on? You just had one of your strongest periods in probably weeks. You're winning the game. You're feeling really good about the period you just put together, and you wait to start the second period, and boom, it's right behind Spencer Knight before you can even blink. I noticed it immediately. They got the puck towards the blue line, and they're all standing still, and no one's chasing the puck, and then the Jets are off the other way. Boom, they score. I think I threw my hands up in the press box like, well, yeah, that was definitely going to happen. The Hawks basically didn't take the ice to start the second. So the first period, shot attempts are 19-14 for the Hawks. Second period, 29-4 for the Jets. The Hawks had 4 shot attempts in the entire second period, but then the third period, the Hawks flip it on its head. 20 shot attempts for the Hawks, only 4 against. So this was one of these crazy games, but you fall asleep, whatever. The Jets turn it on for 10 minutes of the second period, and that's the game. And you get in overtime, and they put Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, and Josh Morrissey out there. And as much as we love Frondell and Bedard and Nazar, who is the defenseman? Kaiser. It's not going to be enough to stop those 3.
You got to win a
face-off. You never got the puck.
You got to win a face-off.
Yeah.
And that was an issue all night. I mean, that was that opening shift of the second period because you don't win a face-off. Jets won 67% of the face-offs tonight. That's a big difference.
Stop it.
The worst.
Well, you just got the dad look of disapproval from Craig.
The worst.
I don't appreciate that look.
Well, don't make me make that look. Don't make me come over there.
You can be angry, but don't be disappointed.
Don't make me turn this car around. Face-offs bad. And I was shocked when I looked at the stats after the first period, and the Hawks did not allow any high danger scoring chances in the first period after giving up 26 to New Jersey on Sunday. And then the second period was bad. And then the third period, they don't give up a single high danger scoring chance again.
They gave up 10 high danger 11 high danger chances in the game. Period. 10 of them in the second.
Yeah, one of them was on
one was in overtime.
Right. Yeah. 5-on-5.
0, 10, 0, 1.
Yeah.
And this is what, when you see us get aggravated after losses, I think this is why, because we remember the games against Utah and the games against Minnesota and the games earlier this season where they've played well and they show you that they're capable of this, as they did in the first and the third. So what the hell happens to this team in the second period tonight? And frankly, kind of all season. It has been their Achilles heel all year.
Well, the first period's been pretty damn lousy.
I just don't understand how you go from...
They're just not allowed to play 3 periods. 2 consecutive good ones.
You're feeling like, all right, we just got our asses kicked the last few games. Really embarrassing. We're back at home. We just had a really solid period. How are you not chomping at the bit to come out in the second and continue that? But instead, they're like, good enough. One goal is going to be enough to beat Connor Hellebuyck and the Jets. No, it's not. No.
And they were lucky it was only 3-2 after that second period.
Yes.
It was, but while, I'm not super frustrated with this loss.
No, I think there was way more good than bad in this game.
Yeah, because as bad as that second period was, you get the Tyler Bertuzzi goal, which was a ridiculous goal.
Crazy.
And all of a sudden, there's energy in the building again, and you're seeing that on the ice. They finished that period strong, and then they played really good in the third period. They didn't let it take over the whole game like we saw against the Flyers and we saw against the Rangers, where once it went bad, it stayed bad, and it never had a chance to get good again. They were able to turn it back around and play a really good third period, tie the game. That second line with Frondell and Bertuzzi and Mikheyev were so good tonight. Anton Frondell gets his first goal, new career high in goals for Tyler Bertuzzi, 30 and 31st goals. Awesome stuff there, which stinks because, well, it doesn't stink, but because I kind of want Anton Frondell back with Connor Bedard, because that line with Nick Lardis is no bueno.
No, that line was a non-factor today.
And it was not great in New Jersey either.
No.
It was underwater the whole game.
But that line with Frondell,
you can't break that up.
So good.
Right. You can't break that up. So I don't know what you do. I know it's 2 games, and that's a very small sample size, and it's not to write it off, but we all wanted to see what can Nick Lardis do on the Connor Bedard's line. Apparently not much of anything. It wasn't great. They had a couple moments. Bedard set up Lardis for a scoring chance in that first period from the slot, and Hellebuyck made the save. Lardis waited a little too long to shoot, but those are learning moments. And then he made a great pass to Ryan Green later in the first period that just wasn't able to connect on. So he was trying to set it up, but that line was not good, not effective, not what you like. It wasn't as bad as it was against New Jersey. New Jersey, that line never had the puck. They were playing defense the whole night. Tonight, they at least got a little more offensive zone time, but it wasn't.
They had 3 shot attempts, 4 and 5 again. So it was just a low event night with them on the ice.
Well, and they were also out there against Scheifele most of the night, who's one of the best 2-way center. And then, Morrissey's out there against
But to not just get drilled by those guys is also somewhat impressive. I saw Bedard make a couple nice defensive plays, lifting sticks, back checking. There was a play, I think it was in the second period, where he chased Scheifele behind the net, lifted his stick and took the puck away and sent it the other way. So there were some good moments, but the offense was just completely ineffective
3 shot
from that line.
Out of that line for a 60-minute hockey game is just not. It's not good enough.
Nah,
it's not.
That's
good.
a 5-on-5, but yes.
Well, yeah, but
yeah.
Well, yeah. It's just you gotta have more than that. I don't think you can't break up that second line right now. They're playing too good.
13 shot attempts, 4, 7 against for that line of Frondell, Bertuzzi, and Mikheyev.
Just worried that Blashill's going to put Burakovsky back up there.
I mean, I think that's when we've all been questioning, why is Burakovsky staying up there? It's because he doesn't believe he's got another option. And
he's kind of getting proven right.
It's a strong message to send your general manager.
Yeah.
That, hey, look, I gave it a shot. And look, I don't think either of us are saying that Nick Lardis will never work with Connor Bedard.
No, it's not working right
I think Nick Lardis is a guy, as we look, and we have plenty of time to do this, but I think he's a guy that could probably use a little more Rockford to get that full game rounded out.
Yeah.
You know, if he's here next year, fine. He's got an offseason to improve a lot of stuff, but I think there's he is definitely a scorer, and he can put the puck in the net at this level. But I feel like with a little bit of seasoning in their AHL, some lower consequence mistakes, and a little more commitment to the full length of the ice, he could be a really dangerous player. I don't think they want him to just be one dimensional. They don't want him to be Lucas Reichel. They want him to be a guy that they can put out there and trust and put in top six. Because if he's not in the top six here, he's Lucas Reichel. I mean, you know what I mean? Like
he needs to be a top six guy because that's his skill set. You waste his skill set playing him on the fourth line, as we saw. So I don't know. Maybe you put Burakovsky back up there. Then that means you could put Nazar and Lardis back together. They had some really good chemistry going there.
Yeah. That line itself was not terrible, not great. 8 shot attempts for 12 against.
They were really good. They were the best line in New Jersey because Nazar had such a good
he was
game.
Great.
But like you just didn't see that same kind of oomph. Like Donato was
they're a hard checking team though. They've always been.
Yeah, they're
a defensive first team, a heavy team. So I think it's not surprising that Bedard and Nazar and Lardis did not stand out in this one.
Yeah, those it's tough to find spots on the ice against a team like that. But we'll see how it goes. You got the Oilers next. That's a team that little leaky on defense at times.
Great defending, great goldtending. That's what I know about the Oilers.
Eat your heart out, mid-90s New Jersey Devils. Here come the Oilers. So you got some time to figure it out, but it's just got to have more than 3 shot attempts from that line.
Yeah, definitely.
Regardless on who's on Connor Bedard's line, you got to have more than 3 shot attempts. You're not winning any game. But hey, that's as bad as that is, not optimal. You got a point and scored 3 goals in a game that Connor Bedard's line only generated 3 shot attempts at 5-on-5. That's pretty darn good.
I don't think that it makes sense for us to spend this show having it wringing our wringing our hands about this loss.
Right. We're not clutching pearls
for the most part. It was I think it was a pretty solid game, and I again, overtime, fine. They had the puck first. They've got 3 all-stars on the ice. Those things happen. I'm not terribly upset about that, but I think the vast majority of this game was encouraging, and especially the fact that you get down. You have the really horrible second period. You're down 3-1. They score 2 goals in 40 seconds, not even. And Bertuzzi, less than 2 minutes later, is like, F this. I got to get us back in this game. And literally single-handedly scores his 30th goal of the year on the backhand. He played like a man possessed today. And man, we talk all the time about who drags you into the fight. Tyler Bertuzzi is kind of that guy.
Yeah.
Like he is going to do everything he can to win a puck, to win a battle. And I think it was Scott Powers that tweeted, he's got to lead the league at headlong dives per 60, but he's doing everything he can to keep the puck in the zone or to prevent it from leaving, and whatever the situation may be. That's the sort of stuff that, that's what Jeff Blashill's been preaching since day one. And I really think that that's why those two, Blashill and Bertuzzi, seem to have such a good connection. They they just see hockey the same way. And I loved his game tonight. Frankly, I've loved Bertuzzi's game all season. He's been great. But that goal gets him back in it, gets him some life. They still only end the period with 2 shots, but it felt like after that goal, they had a little more zone time. And then he scores a really nice goal set up for Mikheyev and Crevier to tie it halfway through the through the third. So love Bertuzzi's game. He will obviously be one of our Game Day Men's Health Game Puck nominees.
Spoiler alert.
Better father, better husband, better man. Go to Game Day Men's Health. Visit GameDayCHGO.com to find locations closest to you. So Tyler Bertuzzi obviously gets one of them. I think Ilya Mikheyev should get one too. He has been playing out of his mind. 2 assists, +2,
Send the man.
17.29, 2 shot attempt or 2 shots on goal. Really good. So now we got to decide: are we giving one to Anton Frondell,
You have to.
or are we giving one to Louis Crevier, who had 2 assists?
No, you only score your first NHL goal once, and that deserves
That's true.
a game puck.
All right, so Frondell, a goal +1, 16 of ice time, 3 shots on goal, 6 shot attempts, a hit tagged with 1 giveaway, and a block shot. His stat line through all five, his fifth game, through all 5 of his games is very active.
Yeah.
There's always multiple shots, multiple shot attempts, block shots, hits. Like he is a high event player.
Yes, he is. And I was really looking forward to tonight's game to be able to see him in person for the first time, especially from our vantage point in the press box where you're up high and you get a good view of the ice and you get to see things develop. And one of the things that impressed me the most about him on TV was his ability to just seem to always be in the right spot. And then seeing it live, just watching him work, seeing the ice. He scores his goal because he sees the puck get behind the net. He goes, okay, time to get to the slot.
Yeah.
Because that's where the goals get scored. And he's there and quickly gets the shot off. There were so many times where he's just waiting for the puck because he sees the play, knows where to be. That's not coachable. That's up here between the ear. If you've got that at 18 in your 5th game in the NHL,
that's crazy. And I keep trying to hold myself back a little bit because I don't want to, because we're like Sam Renzel, Calder Trophy, never played another game in Rockford. He looks so solid at the end of the year.
A little different though.
I think so too, but I'm trying to temper my enthusiasm a little bit.
Goods. I mean,
but man, he looks so confident.
Thank you, San Jose Sharks, for taking Michael Misa.
That's funny, isn't it? That's interesting. All right, let's hit the break zone for the first time. While we do that, you hit the like button. We'd appreciate that big time. Mario's going to join us in a little bit. We're going to hear from Tyler Bertuzzi and Anton Frondell coming up next on CHGO Blackhawks. Our friends at Sunnyside Dispensary are here to elevate your baseball season. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free shopping. They've got a huge selection with over 100 strains to choose from at any given time with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. So wherever you are in Illinois, there is a Sunnyside location for you. They have spots as far south as Champaign, as far north as South Beloit, Wrigleyville. They're in the Loop area. Stop in to the one nearest you for expert guidance from their staff. You don't always know what you're looking for. You're not sure what to get, how much to get. They're going to help you out every step of the way so you leave with the experience you want. Head to their website for only the best under the sun, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Use our code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Again, 50% off your first 3 online purchases with our code HICHGO at checkout. Sunnyside Dispensary, only the best under the sun, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. And whether it's on the field or in your financial life, the best teams win by delivering excellence at every level. At Old National Bank, they believe every play matters, from everyday checking to long-term planning and commercial banking. You can count on them to coordinate your needs with steady, knowledgeable guidance that brings clarity and confidence to each step. It's a partnership designed to help you feel supported, not just today, but well into the future. So whether you're celebrating a win, rebuilding after a tough loss, or gearing up for whatever comes next, Old National has your back with tools, insights, and an expert crew that's always there and always in your corner. My family uses Old National Bank. Your family should also use Old National Bank. They will take care of you when things are falling apart in your life or things are good in your life. They've got your back. Old National Bank, member FDIC, where relationships and results matter. All right, we're back on CHGO Blackhawks. Thanks for the likes. Keep those coming. We got some super chats I want to get to. Not all of them right here, but a couple of them. And I'm going to look to my right here. Jake got us a new TV. It's really big, but it's over here on the right. So I got to peek over to the right.
There. It's across the
Yes. Green Eyes, $10 says, so I guess they need to find Bedard another winger. Frondell's been amazing at center. Could they move Nazar to Bedard's line? So Blashill was actually asked about that during the pregame, just saying like, hey, man, good teams are deep down the middle. And he basically said he believes that Bedard, Frondell, and Nazar could be that trio down the middle. I'm fine with that. If we're talking about being a winning team, having three centers you really trust and really like, that's a great thing to have.
It's like we called when we were talking a couple weeks ago about Minnesota, and I said Minnesota's not deep down the middle.
Yeah,
and that's how you win in the playoffs. Is in the middle of the ice.
Yep.
Usually the team that can control the middle of the ice is the team that wins a 7-game series. So yeah, but I mean, for these last few games, maybe you put them up there. You gotta go get a guy for Bedard. I'm sorry, it has to happen. And like
we've talked about it ad nauseum, we don't need to dig into it.
It needs to be a guy that fits the window, not a guy at the tail end of his career.
Yes.
that another team is saying.
And we know some of those guys are available. So
maybe
get it done. Tear off a Band-Aid.
Make
a difficult move.
New general manager coming in Toronto. It might be a guy that goes, why would I trade Matthew Nees?
Well, that would be yes. I don't understand why you would do that,
but you know what? It's Toronto. They're probably going to hire another idiot. So Mike Gillis is coming back.
It's a safe bet.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do two more here. We got one from Lebowski55 who wants to be banned from the show. Says Frondell switches to 16. Much better than that bum-ass Tuomo Ruutu, number 15.
But not as good as Jim Cummings. Greatest 15 of all time.
I can't. I've told the story before. I'm not telling it again. And we'll do one more. Let's do Aaron Jordan, $5 says Frondell both looks good and young. I also really loved how physical Korchinski played tonight. He's looked surprisingly decent since coming up. We talked during the game. We need to find a space to talk about Korchinski.
This sounds like a good spot.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. That's called a segue, Ron.
You put it in very well when you said haven't noticed him in a good way.
It's fine.
Right?
It's fine.
And there were a couple plays today. In the second period, he went into the corner and was able to chip the puck out under pressure right onto the tape of, I forget which Hawks player was breaking out with it. It doesn't matter. But Korchinski goes into the corner, checks his shoulder, and just bink, pops it right out into the middle of the into the zone, and the Hawks are off the other way, right on the tape. Saw him make a really nice stretch pass from behind the goal line to the opposite blue line. Though some of the offense was there for him, but I think he's been solid defensively too. Not playing a ton, only 12:58 in this one. Had one shot on goal and one block shot. That's a low event game for Kevin Korchinski, but
fine.
That's what you want. And you were seeing some of the offense, puck moving ability, be it the chip I mentioned, be it the stretch pass I mentioned. Yes, and I think when Aaron says physical, I don't think he means like he's obviously not laying people out, but he's not afraid to go in the corner. He's not afraid to battle for a puck. I've liked what I've seen from Korchinski, and putting games like this on tape for Jeff Blashill could go a long way for him. This is a big opportunity for him to impress Jeff Blashill. If this team was healthy, Kevin Korchinski would still be in Rockford. But with Levchinov and Grzelcyk out for the year, Korchinski's getting his chance, and so far, I don't want to say he's making the best of it, but he's made a good impression on me and I think you.
Yeah, it's not been spectacular. It's not been, oh my God, this kid is going to be a superstar, but it's not the holy crap, this guy's awful like we saw. I mean, and granted, that first call-up was such a weird situation.
It was a tough
that
situation.
Capitals game was bad, and this time around, this is an 8-game tryout. It starts now for Del Mastro and Korchinski. We've talked about those guys will be battling it out for a roster spot next training camp if they're both in training camp. And
that's a big if.
Yeah, you never know. So they're getting a shot now, and that pair together has been pretty good tonight. They spent a lot more time in the defensive zone tonight than they did on Sunday in New Jersey. They still only allowed 3 scoring chances against at 5-on-5. If your third line pair is only giving up 3 scoring chances, you take it and run. That's a good game. And you haven't seen the panic from Korchinski. That's been his biggest problem in his short stints this year. He gets the puck and it's like, oh my God, I have to
hot potato.
Yeah, it's just, and not knowing where to be on the ice and turning the wrong way or getting caught flat foot. Haven't seen any of that yet. And that's good. He's playing confident, calm hockey.
Yeah.
You need Kevin Korchinski to be calm. He's like sometimes he gets a little too much.
Yeah.
He's like the kid that needs his Ritalin, and it's just a little too much.
Because he's drinking that uniced black coffee.
And that's what I'm drinking.
I yelled at him about that. He had a venti ass black coffee. It's cold. It was a cold brew with no ice in a venti cup. Dude, maybe that's why you're jittery with the puck.
That may be. Maybe they cut out his caffeine.
Your heart is ripping out of your chest.
But
literally.
No, it's been nice to see him come up here and be effective and not be a liability. Because let's face it, he's been for a lot of his NHL time.
Yeah,
he's been a liability. So he's definitely looking more like he belongs at this level, and that's what you want to see, and it's good. Keep building that over these last few games. Take that confidence into the off season, and we'll see where it goes from there.
All right, we'll get to the rest of your super chats later on in the show, but let's hear from Tyler Bertuzzi, who scored his 30th and 31st goals of the year, 30th in spectacular fashion. Here he is post-game, about to go fishing.
Back there and almost pull out two.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of our best first periods I think we've had all year, and definitely in a long time. And then kind of the second, we didn't play the same way, and kind of gave them life, and then we battled back in the third and kind of had the same third as our first. But obviously it's hard in this league when you get a full period not playing your best. That's when you give up too much and it costs you.
What do you think of the new kid?
He's good. No, I really like playing with him. He's big. He forechecks hard, and I think that's why we had success tonight. And we're just all over the puck, forechecking hard, and he battles, which I like.
So you look like somebody who's only played 5 NHL games?
No. He looks right at home. He's just going to keep getting better as he grows and continues to play big minutes and play big in big spots, and the future's looking bright.
Can you see what Vlasic looking to do lineup-wise? Having Bedard, Nazar, and Frondell down the middle, and how that maybe changes what you guys look like as a lineup?
Yeah, I think it just gives us more depth. They're three really good centers. They're going to be centers here in this organization for a long time, and it gives us depth and different line combos to try and create more offense.
You put the team on your back there a little bit in the third. Do you kind of, now that you're a captain, do you kind of see that as like a captain responsibility to kind of will your team back when they're not feeling themselves?
It's Mickey both times. On the forecheck, he created the turnover. I just got the puck, and then on the goal, he made a great play. So I thought as a whole group, we played a really good game, except for obviously the second, and we just got to build off that and learn from it.
Did you see a 30-goal season for yourself coming into this season?
No, but I know I can do it. I've done it before. I'm going to keep going to the net, keep doing the same things. Like I said before, my body's been feeling good. It's been keeping me, in games and being able to, compete at the hardest I can and at the highest level I can, and obviously playing with some good players to help.
With younger guys around you, do you find this time of year maybe you've got a little more extra energy with the young guys?
Yeah, I felt like like our first. We just had so much energy. Everyone's playing for spots and to show themselves, and the young guys are going to be starting to carry this team.
All right, that's Tyler Bertuzzi, who Lord Hosta describes as the guy that yells at traffic in his neighborhood. Does have that look a little bit. I love the guy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a pouch of Red Man in that jacket. There's no doubt about that.
Probably a bottle of beer. Bush Light, is that the hat he wears?
Yeah, he definitely looks like he's going to like line dancing night somewhere in the south suburbs.
I don't know. He looks, you know what? I'm going to invent a term, beauty. No one's ever said that about a hockey player before.
It fits because it's kind of ironic, don't you think?
Yeah, it's a little bit honest. It is a little bit ironic. Yeah, dude, he was awesome again, and I think he is right to credit Mikheyev. That first goal, the backhander, Mikheyev just laid out some poor putts. I don't know what it was.
He wears number 78. How good can he be?
Yeah, man. So he just crushes them along the boards, and due to that, the puck just goes to Tyler Bertuzzi, who's all alone.
Checked him right back onto the Moose lineup.
But man, that move though, I wonder if he really intended, like if he's just like, I'm just going to throw it on net and see what happens. But he's going from from Hellebuck's left to right and then turns around and throws it right or to Hellebuck's left. So he's moving the opposite way. If that was what he intended, which I think it was, that was a really nasty goal. It was sweet.
It was one of those where it's like, usually in the press box, there's very little reaction, but I think everybody in the press box kind of like laughed at that one because like that was ridiculous.
Did not see that coming against Connor Hellebuck.
Yeah, but he's right. Mikheyev got in on that one, and the first goal, the Frondell goal, was Mikheyev too. That whole line was forechecking before that goal. So I mean, that's what Mikheyev brings, and we all are big fans of Ilya Mikheyev, and then it's like. We love it when he has a night like tonight, but we're also kind of in the back of mind like, hey, let's not have too many of those because we don't want too many other teams calling you this summer.
Yeah, let's get that done.
But the Hawks can overpay.
He probably is looking for some term, and they probably don't want to give him too much. But how about we give you $2 million more than anybody else is going to do, and you stay here for 2 years instead of 3, or 3 years instead of 4?
Yeah, they can figure it out. We'll see how that goes. I'm sure they say, "Here's our offer. Feel free to see if you can get something better. If not, come back and we'll sign it."
And we'll match whatever
I
you
think
get.
that's kind of what they did with Donato last year. Like, here's your standing offer. If you can find better, Godspeed.
All right. Practice at noon tomorrow. Got a half-hour pushback.
That's strange. Okay.
Maybe Rocky's Bar will be open then, so get some tendies post.
Do not get my brain thinking that way.
It's going to be open every day,
and
except when I'm there and I want them, and they're not open because they're fixing a sign. You can make tenders and fix a sign at the same time.
Yeah, you don't need a sign to get some oil going in the fryer.
Right. I'll do it myself. Just let me back.
Those are independent of each other.
All right, we're going to hit the break zone one final time. Mario is standing by from the UC. We still want to hear from Anton Frondell later on in the show as well. Mario will share what Jeff Blashill had to say. Get your votes in for the Game Day Men's Health Game Puck. And all that. Do it. We'll talk to you in 2 minutes on CHGO Blackhawks. Good, better, best. We all know that. Great slogan. And our friends at Bet365 have one of their own. Early payout offer. Here's how it works. The team you're riding goes up 10 points at any point in the game. Bet365 will pay you out right there on the spot. It is that easy. Bet365, where winning is everything. Right now, they're running their bet $5, get $150 promo. Any new Bet365 user will get $150 in bonus bets after depositing $10 and making their first $5 bet. That is awesome. Bet365, where winning is everything. Download the app today and use our code CHGO365 when you sign up. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in Illinois. Please gamble responsibly. Must be present in Illinois. $10 minimum deposit required. Bonus wager excluded from returns. New customers only. 21 plus only. Time limits, minimum odds, and terms and conditions apply. In-app only and void where prohibited. And new vehicles are in store at Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. And this is your chance to score a great deal at their Declaration of Deals sales event. Head to Ray CDJR on Route 12 today to choose from their huge inventory of new Chryslers, Dodges, Jeeps, and Rams. And right now, you get 0% financing for 60 months on new vehicles. Plus, shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20K. With a friendly team of brand experts, the team at Ray CDJR is here to help you during each step of your car shopping journey. Plus, since they prioritize affordability, you know you won't overpay for the vehicle you need. And with Ray's price promise, you can shop confidently with no add-ons or hidden fees ever. Don't miss out on the Declaration of Deals sales event for huge savings on new models. For more info, visit Ray CDJR today on Route 12 in Fox Lake or online at raycdjr.com. They've been serving in the community since 1963. All right, we are back on CHGO Blackhawks, and with that, let's head out to the United Center and welcome in Mario Tirabassi, who is there in the locker room and taking in Jeff Blashill's post-game conference. We've already heard from Tyler Bertuzzi. We will hear from Anton Frondell a little bit later, but as Greg and I started the show, 20 bad minutes, but overall, 40 minutes you feel pretty good about.
Yeah, I mean they bookended this game with some pretty good efforts. The first period they dominated the play. Jeff Blashill said after the game, based off of their internal analytics, it was 7-1 in scoring chances, and the Blackhawks just came out with a lot of energy, and they had a really solid start to the game. And then in the second period, things just kind of completely fell off the tracks for them. Outshot 15-2, I believe it was in the second period. Outscored 3-1. Tyler Bertuzzi's spin-o-rama goal being the saving grace in that second period to keep it close. And then third period, they respond. They hold Winnipeg to just 2 shots on goal in that third period. So a really impressive response. Now it just kind of comes down to stringing together a 60-minute effort where not even a full wire-to-wire 60 minutes you dominate. You don't need to do that every night to win in the league. But if you can win enough in each phase of the game over the course of 3 periods to where the game's going to have an ebb and flow. But if you're coming out on the better end of things more than half the time, you're more likely or not going to come away with a win. And the Blackhawks just haven't been able to string too many games like that this season. They've had some games where they get off to a hot enough start that they're able to hold on for wins, and they've had games where they've pulled points and wins out from games that they shouldn't have. But they've also blown a lot of leads this season. As we learned in from the Devils game, that was their 10th blown third period. So it's a lesson in learning how to string together those 3 periods of effort and also into overtime that this young team's going to need to figure out how to do this season. And is the final few games to figure that out going into next year, where you're going to be young and you're going to have to make sure that you're taking those positive steps.
Well, I'm curious as to what Blashill had to say about the second period, because I noticed basically from the drop of the puck that they were not ready to start that period. They just looked flat. They looked asleep. They looked like the game had already been decided, and very, very frustrating. So I'm curious if Blashill addressed that.
Yeah, this is what he had to say about the second period and recently why second periods have given them some struggles.
First. We went through this earlier in the year, and we kind of, we dug into it a lot. Some of it I thought was we got away with things in the first and third that we didn't get away with in the second. I certainly wouldn't say that tonight. I thought tonight, part of it's the pushback probably from them. I think we walked into the room and we had outchanced them 7-1 by our chances, and if you're them, you're not going to be happy with that, so you're going to push back harder. And part of it was we didn't win any face-offs, so it just seemed like they had the puck a lot, and we didn't break out clean. I think when we hurt ourselves is when we're in those D-zone situations and we don't break out clean out of those D-zone situations. You just end up kind of in a cycle of playing D-zone tired, and that's a hard way to play D-zone. So I think breaking it back down to D-zone breakouts is not just your initial retrievals, but once you get a puck from the D-zone state, how can you kind of find a way either through a flip and really go hard through the D, or through tape to tape and find a way to get the puck and get it in the end and get your changes. And we couldn't do that tonight.
Well, there you have it. There's the answer. I just did not like the way they just took the ice in a second. Just that from the first minute, I'm like, they're going to get scored on right now. And sure enough, they did.
Yeah, I think he, maybe without saying it, might allude to the fact that the Jets came out with a big push in the second period, and potentially, and evident by the play, Blackhawks just probably weren't prepared for it enough to be ready to withstand that. And look, this is a Jets team that's talented. At one point, they were at the bottom of the Central Division, and now they find themselves 1 point out of a playoff spot. And it's a veteran-laden team, so they're wanting to get into the playoffs, and they're pushing again, like we were kind of talking about during the road trip. The Blackhawks are facing teams that are pushing for the playoffs. It was the Flyers, it was the Islanders. Tonight against Winnipeg, like they're playing these teams that have things to play for and are going to push. And being able to not just try and withstand that, but to be able to push back against it is something that's going to be a challenge. And these are a lot of young players experiencing either that aspect of playing this late into an NHL season against teams that are playing playoff style hockey, or it's guys that, you know, in the case of Anton Frondell, it's his 5th game in the NHL. So there's still a lot of lesson learning to be done on what it takes to win games like that and to be able to compete with teams like that. But I will say in tonight's game, you did have guys that you can point to as the veterans that stepped up in big ways. Tyler Bertuzzi, obviously, with his effort tonight, and then his line mate Ilya Mikheyev. Like they were guys that exemplified what, you know, a veteran player can provide, and can be an example for the young guys to see what they're doing right, and what they're doing that's effective, and try and emulate that.
Well, you mentioned Frondell, and had a really good game offensively, scored a goal, had another really good scoring chance, and just looked super effective. We talked about it, but it is Kyle Connor that gets away from him in overtime. He's a little bit late to defend. 5th game, 18 years old. I can absolutely live with that lesson.
3-on-3.
Of course, can totally live with that. But right, obviously, yeah. So it was tough for him to recognize, oh crap, I got to get over there and tie that stick up, and ultimately led to the goal. By the way, really nice play by the Jets. Great passing, great shot. When you've got players of that caliber on the ice, they're going to do those sort of things. But curious if you had Blashill thoughts overall on Frondell's game.
Yeah, I will say on the overtime play, you know, I saw that they were starting Bedard, Frondell, and Kaiser to go in the overtime. And look, like Anton Frondell's been playing really well in his first 5 games here, but I did have the thought, and you know, unfortunately you guys weren't there to corroborate my story, but I said to myself, I was like, I don't know if I trust Frondell at NHL pace 3-on-3. He's done it in Sweden. He's, you know, played at the World Juniors, but it's a different animal in the NHL. And there were at least 2 times before the goal in the short period of overtime where there was one moment right off the face-off where Kaiser's kind of directing him where to go and what man to cover. And then there was another play where they switched, and you could see Frondell kind of like look over his shoulder, like, am I supposed to stay and switch or whatnot? And then he loses Connor on the goal play. So again, you want to give a guy who's feeling it and who's, you know, been one of your most effective players over the last stretch of games, the opportunity to play in overtime and play in those moments. But also on the other end of things, you're playing an 18-year-old in his first 5 games in a big moment like that. But Jeff Blashill did like what he saw from Anton today. That whole line was working really well as a group. And he did kind of go into a little bit of a specific situation on, I believe it was the first goal that the Jets scored, where Frondell was part of the defensive breakdown of what happened. So this is what he had to say about that, and then kind of more of a broader view of the defensive work tonight.
On the first goal by Morrissey, when Frondell kind of peeled off, both the D were on the other side of the net. Like, what needs to happen differently on that?
Not that. Frondell actually could have stayed with Morrissey, number one. So that's a learned thing that, you know, he's just new to the system. And then you know, one of Louis or Vlasic should have been on that post, that strong side post, and they kind of mixed that up. But you know, Frondell could have just stayed with him too. So you know, he came back to the bench and said, "Should I stay with him?" I said, "Yeah." So like, that's a good thing that he understands those situations and will learn from them. And to me, that's the number one thing. He's going to make mistakes, as I told him, you know, right off the bat. But I don't care about mistakes. I care about learning from mistakes. And the same thing with Louis and Vlasic. Like, they've done a pretty good job. You know, they've been out against a lot of really good players throughout throughout the season. They're both, you know, fairly young players in terms of experience. Certainly Louis doesn't have tons of experience, and you know, it's probably one of those things where he was really worried about Scheifele backdoor. He should have probably just given him a little cross check and got to that front post, and Vlasic took over.
Yeah, I'm down with him learning lessons. Maybe he'll never make that mistake again. I'm fine with it. We've talked about it. This is what this part of the year is for, is to get guys out there, learn on the fly, figure out who's ready for what. Great. Experiment. See what works, see what doesn't. cool. I'm all here for it.
Somebody in the chat had asked earlier, do they not practice 3-on-3? And the answer to that is, well, first of all,
they don't practice.
They haven't practiced since March 16th.
Yeah.
And they don't spend a lot of time practicing 3-on-3 generally. But this season, there's been such few practices because of the condensed schedule with the Olympics that there's not been a lot of time spent practicing 3-on-3. Anton Frondell hasn't even had an NHL practice yet, let alone practice of 3-on-3.
Tomorrow at noon, his first one.
Yes,
be there at the Blackhawks Ice
his
Center.
first NHL, and I bet you they practice some 3-on-3 tomorrow.
I would imagine so. It's a 6-hour practice.
Stop. So yeah, it's a learning moment. Like I get, like maybe being a little reprehensive of putting him out there to start that overtime, but hey, you win the face-off, and maybe you don't have that problem.
Yeah, it could be a completely different story. If they possess the puck right off the bat, you got two of your best young offensive options out there and your most reliable defenseman. Like that, anything could have happened. So, I mean, the idea of practicing 3-on-3 is tough because it's hard to simulate that environment when you're facing your own team. You know what I mean? Like in 3-on-3, you're putting out your best players against the other team's best players, and it's a shortened bench. So if you're practicing against yourself, your best players are repping against your second group and your third group. Like it's a different kind of setup for practicing it. And I think if the Blackhawks found a way to effectively practice 3-on-3, that would be a good thing because they can implement that into their regular practice program, and maybe going into next season they turn some of their 14 overtime and shootout losses this season, they turn some of those into wins, and you're turning those into extra points added, and you're further up the standings than you are. If half of their OT and shootout games go the other way this season, we're talking about the Blackhawks being close to the playoff push this season, and that makes a big difference. And it's those small details when it gets to overtime, those bounces, those big saves, hitting it off a post, stuff like that. It's those small moments that could make a season look completely different.
All right, anything else we need to know from Jeff Blashill today?
No, I mean, he just he liked what he saw from the group. He did make a point about the lineup and balancing things. A question was from Scott Powers about, a lot of the expectation was Frondell would step in, play with Bedard. There's your running mate. They've had 3 games of doing that, and now 2 games of him playing down the middle. And the 2 games that Frondell's played center, he's played really well. His line has been really effective. And Blashill made the point of it's one thing to try and balance it out, I guess you'd say horizontally across the line, where you have players playing on the same line that complement each other. But there's also some weight to be said that if you have down the middle some of your best players, you can kind of figure out the wings from there. So I think his sense is, let's see what it looks like right now, where the top 3 centers are Bedard, Frondell, Nazar. And if you get that to work, that's a really good young trio of the future down the middle that you can then kind of piece together. Green and Lardis and Bertuzzi and Oliver Moore, and see where the rest of these guys kind of fit in, and Roman Kanserov next season. See where the wings kind of fit in. If you can trust your 1, 2, 3 down the middle to be any combination of Bedard, Frondell, Nazar. So it's an interesting, I think, way to think about it. And Frondell himself, he hasn't played center much at all this year. He started the year in Djurgården as center, but then moved to the wing very quickly. And talking to him this morning at morning skate, he said playing the last game at center was the first time in months that he had done it. And he said, though, that he really likes playing down the middle because he feels like at both ends of the ice, he's around the puck more. And that's where you want Anton Frondell, is around the puck. So I'm definitely very okay with Jeff Blashill experimenting with him playing center for those purposes. See what you have. That's what these last few games are for.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow at practice and then on the show at 3.
Sounds good.
All right, that's Mario Tirabassi joining us on the Xfinity Mobile call-in line live from the United Center. I like the idea of Frondell at center, and I think you saw how effective he is in the middle. The goal he scored had another shot in close that Hellebuyck just got a piece of. You want your best players around the puck, as Jeff Blashill said via Mario, and fine. Like as you say, the wings can be figured out.
I really want wings now.
I know, it's all I can think about. Honestly, I'm losing my train of thought. I just want wings.
Oh,
let's go.
Screw it. We're going to get wings.
Thanks for. Chloe, just order some wings up for us, and we'll get them after the show. No, solve center and then work out on the sides, and you'll be fine. And like you said, tons of candidates for those jobs.
Yeah.
So,
well, we saw it earlier this year with Oliver Moore. He played his best hockey when he went to the middle of the ice.
4 centers,
and you know, and he was a guy that barely played center at Minnesota, and all of a sudden he goes to the center. Like,
this is what I'm saying.
Yes, you can't have too many centers.
You've got too many centers.
You don't. No such thing.
You have too many.
There's not a thing.
You've got Bedard.
Give me freaking 12 centers,
Frondell,
and you figure it
just
out.
Have all the centers play all the
centers,
spots.
and you figure it out. You can't have too many centers.
I'm just saying.
Just like you can't have too much relief pitching in baseball, you're going to have too many centers.
The point being, this is why I'm bullish on trading some prospect you really, really like that you think's going to be good to get a guy for Bedard. A guy in his early to mid-20s that has already proven, do it. Do it. You've got what you need down the middle. I'm confident in that already. I'm confident Bedard is a number 1 center. I know I'm out on a limb on that one. I'm very confident Anton Frondell is at least a really good second-line center. I think Frank Nazar is a elite third-line center to good second-line center.
Yeah, I mean, depending on who his line mates are. I mean, you don't necessarily pay what you just gave Frank Nazar be third-line center, but again, lines are it's third line, sure, but but figure it out now. This is when you want to do it. If Frondell is better at center, play him at center. If Frank Nazar is better at center, play him at center. If he's better at wing, play him at wing. Figure it out. These are what these last few games are for, and we'll see what happens. Like there's still a lot coming and a lot to be decided, but you still need a guy. You know, here we are, end of the 3rd season of Connor Bedard, and we're still wondering who's going to be his long-term running mate. We thought it was going to be Anton Frondell. It still could be.
It might be. It still might be.
It could be, but this is the time to see what he does down the middle. So, you know, interesting decisions to be made, but it's going to be these guys that ultimately decide who plays where.
Let's hear from Anton Frondell. He spoke after the game.
Maybe he's got
scoring
some
his
wings
first
he wants
NHL
to
goal.
share.
Meanwhile, we're going to go around and get some wings.
But just how do you feel to get your first goal?
An amazing feeling. Dream coming true, and happy to do it in my first home game.
Did you switch your number to 16 in honor of Marcus?
A little bit, yeah. He's been a good guy for me for over 2 seasons back in Sweden, like a mentor, and it's pretty awesome to play with the same number.
What made it occur to you to change it today?
I couldn't change on the road trip, so as soon as we get back home, they said I can switch. So.
Did you talk to Marcus about it? Did you tell him you did this?
Yeah, a little bit. I asked him if he would get angry at me if I did it, but it was fine with it. He seems happy.
You've looked pretty comfortable in your first couple of games. Just how have you felt out there the first 5?
I mean, the game it's a whole new level from what I'm used to play back in Sweden. It's everything goes so fast. Everyone is a lot better. So it's I still have a lot to learn, and it's just keep going and get better.
Did you feel more comfortable at center tonight?
The last game?
This game, do you feel more comfortable at?
I guess so, yeah, a little bit more. With the second game, as I said, it's get into it a little bit. I enjoy playing in the middle of the ice. It's fun.
It seems like you've developed chemistry pretty quickly with Bertuzzi and Mikheyev. How's it been with them?
They both are so good out there. They forecheck a lot, win the pucks. Bertuzzi got two nice goals today. Mikheyev, who wins every battle. It's fun to play with them, and fun guys too.
What was it like playing in this building in front of Hawks fans for the first time?
Incredible. I heard back on the road trip. I heard because when we played in Madison Square Garden in different arenas, I thought, oh shit, this is pretty good. They say wait till you get back at home, and I know what they mean, but no, it's pretty good crowd out there.
What was playing in 3-on-3 overtime? Is that different than I guess you used to, or did you notice anything just from?
I mean, it's a tight game. Fun. I love to play in those situations when it's tight and when like the game is kind of on your stick. And now we end up losing. It sucks. So it's kind of hard to be happy right now. And I can learn from my overtime today.
Thank you.
There he is, Anton Frondell. I like that he is honoring Marcus Kruger by wearing 16, which is something I didn't think like someday a player will be honoring Marcus Kruger's legacy in Chicago, which is a really good one. Two-time Cup champion?
Two-time, yeah.
And famous for getting absolutely crushed once a game.
Yeah.
Just
hopefully Frondell doesn't keep that tradition.
That would be great. Like once per game, Marcus Kruger was going to because it was going to see the light and not go to it.
Who was that a couple years ago? That was Colin Blackwell when he was here.
Yeah, he was.
Yes, but a lot of that was him skating directly into it.
Yes,
where
he was
Kruger didn't
initiator of his own violence.
Exactly. Yeah. I will always remember Marcus Kruger for being good at face-offs, being a good defensive player, and the Zoom Zoom radio ads.
Yes. He also probably could have had a much more lucrative and much more productive point-wise career anywhere else.
Yeah. But he came here and
happy to win.
Said,
happy to play a role.
I'll be your fourth-line center. I'll do the dirty work. Just hand me that cup every 2 years.
That's it. Sounds great. All right, we got some super chats we got to knock out before we go. So let's go to those if we can. What in the hell is happening? Oh, game puck winner. The game puck is going to Tyler Bertuzzi. You said about 60% of the vote. That's appropriate. He was the best player today. Yeah. No doubt.
Hard to argue with that.
That is brought to you by our friends at Game Day Men's Health. Better father, better husband, better man. Go to Game Day Men's Health. Visit GameDayCHGO.com to find locations closest to you. And a little spoiler for you folks here late in the show. If you just go to the website, it helps us out big time. GameDayCHGO.com. Go there, explore, spend some time. It's helpful.
I will do that.
Yeah,
thanks for the tip.
All right. We did Aaron already. Let's do William the Walrus. $5 says Frondell is a lot of fun to watch, and congrats to Bertuzzi for a career high in goals. But it would sure be great to see a stable second period.
Yeah, it would be great to see 3 stable periods because the first period's been a bugaboo lately. The second period has been bad a lot this season. It just seems that you can't get 3 in a row. It's like, for whatever reason, it's not allowed.
Yeah, it is aggravating. There's no doubt. Windy City Hockey, $2 says Frondell, number 16, goal scorer. Frondell, number 15, assists.
Go.
There you go. I'll take it.
You can win.
If only you could be number 15, 16. That'd be great.
Number 156.
There you go. Adam says for $5, where do you travel if you're on an NHL team missing the playoffs? I'm drinking a Paloma thinking tropical. So your season's over. Where are you going? Somewhere warm.
Yeah, probably someplace with a golf course.
Yeah. Not me.
And they can go anywhere they want because they got money.
They do have money. I was watching a little bit different level of money, but the NFL was posting like all their players on their off-season vacations.
They go to their own private islands.
Crazy. No.
Those guys make big money.
Still doing those private islands, huh?
Hey,
No consequences. Why not? Yeah. And Sean, not a super chat, but I like the comment here, says Frondell's line was the only one playing NHL style, north and south. The others are always going east-west and getting passes cut into the middle. Too many junior plays from the rest of the small kids. I will say they've been doing this thing lately. And if you heard Jeff Vlasic's pregame, which was posted on Twitter today, he talked about what Frank Nazar is effective when he's skating through people, being fast, using his speed. How often do we see a Hawks forward carry the puck into the zone with speed and then stop and turn and look to drop it off?
Almost every down.
Just take it to the net. Take it to the net. Yeah. Drive the net. You're going to shoot. Maybe you get a rebound. Someone's there to stuff it home.
Maybe you draw a penalty.
Right.
But you know what? You know what doesn't happen? Odd man rushes going the other way because you turn around and cough up the puck right at the blue line.
Well,
and yeah.
I didn't, and we've been talking a lot about situational awareness in this game. And another example, and I really don't want to keep bugging and critiquing Alex Vlasic, but this is a play he can't make. You're on the penalty kill. He's been on the ice for 100. We're in overtime, by the way, just like the Hawks and Jets. So
it won't last long.
Switch over to allchgo.com. Thank you, Chloe.
I heard that.
The Jets are in a power play. Del Mastro takes the tripping call, which was ticky-tack, by the way. Hawks are on a kill. About a minute into it, finally, Vlasic gets possession. And then he heads up the ice. And I'm like, dump it in. Change. You've got him, Crevier, and Tavo out there for a minute plus. Instead, he carries it through center ice into the zone, drops it off to Landon Slaggert, and then Vlasic goes right to the net. Trying to create offense, trying to create a chance, fine. But then Slaggert turns it over, and the Jets are off the other way because Vlasic's out of gas.
Yeah.
Tavo couldn't get off. Crevier couldn't get off. So now Wyatt Kaiser's back there because he was able to jump on. He tries to break up the 2-on-1. He slides, does everything right, but they get the puck over him, and it's 2-1.
Well, that was also a pass Landon Slaggert can't make. You can't make a cross-ice pass when you've got defenders trailing.
But
it starts with the Vlasic.
You got to know, dude. You've been on the ice for a minute. You finally have the chance to clear. How many times have we said it? How many times has Jeff Vlasic said it? Live to fight another day. Yeah. You'll get your opportunities. And I like that Vlasic has been a little more offensive-minded lately. I do want to see that from him, but not when you're on the PK, when you've been out there for over a minute. And then if it gets turned over, you're screwed. You're screwed. And that's what happened.
Yeah, situational awareness, not great on this team. It's been a problem. We've seen a lot of it lately, but this is because this team is so young. But I did like going back to Sean's comment there about, the junior kids and the difference between Frondell and him. Because Frondell spent this whole year playing in the second or third best professional league in the world. He's not playing OHL, WHL, where you can get cute and fancy and score from the perimeter and, juke and jive your way up and down the ice. You can't do that at the NHL. You can't do that in the SHL. And so that year playing in Sweden as opposed to playing juniors or even college is it's a little more north-south than juniors, but it's a valid observation that he's already got that professional mindset. That's why I think his transition has been so smooth because he's played professional hockey against men. He hasn't been, making 17-year-old boys look like chumps for the last 2 years. He's been, doing his thing in one of the top leagues in the world, and that makes a big difference. And that's why I think next year, Roman Kancerov's transition will be relatively smooth. I'm not saying he's coming in and he's going to be, Hart Trophy winner from day one, but he spent the last 3 years playing in the KHL, not playing, for the Sudbury Wolves. There's a big difference.
Right. By the way, before we wrap up, we have failed to mention this week and feel bad about it. Our buddy Mark Bernard, the GM of the Rockford Ice Hogs, had been awaiting a transplant, and he got it this week. And the Ice Hogs are sharing this. They say they're happy to report he's home and he's recovering. I shot him a text message a couple days ago, and he responded right away.
Yep.
Said thanks for thinking of him, and he knows Hawks fans are thinking about him. But if you've ever seen our interviews with Mark Bernard, you can see what a genuinely nice human being he is. Loved by everybody, hardest working guy in show business, honestly. We saw him at the Vancouver game he was at right before the road trip?
It was right after he was up here. It was the deadline day.
Yeah,
he was up
and
here.
he's just been waiting for a transplant, and he finally got it. So fingers crossed that everything works out. Those things are always tricky and scary, but man.
He had sent me a text message on March 19th, my sobriety anniversary. He sent me a message just, congratulating me and all that stuff. And he had told me then, like, oh yeah, I just got approved for the liver transplant. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Keep me posted. And then like 3 days later, there's he had it and it went good. And then I was able to, check up on him yesterday as well. And, I told him, all right, you don't, like, I even said when I sent him my message, you don't have to reply. And sure enough, within 30 seconds, there was a response. And I said, rest up and we'll have time to catch up when we see you at the rink next time. So couldn't be happier. One of the best,
seriously,
people
nicer than he needs to be.
He's too nice to be a hockey guy. He's too nice to be a hockey guy.
It's like he's not just tolerating us. It's like he's actually interested and cares. It's very weird. So get well, Bernie. We're thinking about you always, but especially now. Can't wait to see you back at the rink and have you on the show again. So thanks for always being there for us. And if we can be there for you in any way, please let us know. All right. Hawks practice at noon tomorrow. If you've never been, head to Blackhawks Ice Center. See Anton Frondell's first practice and watch Chloe down some tendies. Maybe. All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow at 3 on CHGO Blackhawks.
We all silly like the mayor.